this great opportunity to stand before you today to talk about my people and the opportunity that you all have in the States to share the great news of salvation to these people. I consider this invitation as an undeserved privilege. And even though my English is never in good shape, I'm going to try to do my best. When Delmer called me to invite me, I said, well, there is a condition. If you have patience with me, trying to understand me, I will say yes. And he said yes. So just in case you don't understand, blame him. Well, to talk about evangelizing Hispanics in America, that's what we are doing, me and others. You brought me here in 1992 to work and spread the gospel among my people here in the States, even though my first experience on this was in 1978 in Dallas, Texas, Walton Walker, when I was 21. Could you imagine? Well, I'm going to start my lesson with this expression: think big like Jesus. Think big like Jesus. We all of us know that Jesus is the model above all. So he thought, he thinks, and he will think big. And I'm saying this because in Matthew 28, in verses 18 through 20 says, and Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all the nations. This is big. We call, in many Bibles, in this paragraph says the Great Commission. It is great. It is Great Commission for at least three things. One, who sent us? Jesus Christ. Number two, the message. Sometimes and many times make mistakes thinking and the messengers. No. Think and the message. The message, according to Romans chapter 1 and verse 16, it says that the gospel is the power of God. Power of God. And number three, the objective. What is the goal? To preach the gospel, to convert the lost to Christ, to save souls. So we need to think big. We need to think big. Also in Mark 16, 15 and 16 says, and he said to them, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Big commission. Not certain people. No, every creature. Every creature. The apostles, as we see on the Bible, they follow, they obey, and they preach to all the nations and also to every creature that they had opportunity to do it. In Acts chapter 17, verses 1 through 6, it says, And I'm going to pronounce some places in Spanish because that's the only way I can. Now, when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue of the Jewish. Then Paul, as his custom was, very important. He has a custom. He has now habit. Okay? Went into them, and for 3 Sabbaths reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and demonstrating that the Christ had suffered and rise again from the dead, and saying, this Jesus whom I preach to you is the Christ. And some of them were persuaded, and a great commission, great multitude of the devout Greeks, and not a few of the leading women joined Paul and Silas. Then in verse 6, the Bible says at the end, these who have turned the world upside down have come here too. They were everywhere, like the Hispanics. We are everywhere, you know. They were and preach everywhere. Okay. When I say that the Hispanics are everywhere, I studied with people in Japan, and they are Hispanics. I met through Messenger a lady in Milan, Italy, while I was last month in Spain with Randy Tidmore, and we are studying with her, Hispanic, Milan, Italy. So we are everywhere. If we see this passage, this happened in Thessalonica. They preach the gospel. And also the result of preaching the gospel was, verse 4, great multitude obeyed the gospel. And these people were turning down, upside down with this gospel, the world. So I can say that the apostles obey the Great Commission. In chapter 16 of Acts 2, chapter 16 and verse 5 says, so the churches were strengthened in the faith, very important, and increased in number. And daily, it says daily. That's a very important word. So the apostles obey Jesus. And the first Christians, the Christian from the century, the first century, same thing. Acts 8, 1 through 4, they were under persecution, adversity, fleeing from these people who wanted to torture them and kill them. And they were preaching. They went everywhere preaching the word. Philip in Samaria, Acts 8:5, he went there and he preached Christ. And also in verse 12 of Acts 8 says that were baptized men and women. We are here because of them and others' generations that believe in evangelizing the lost. So please think big like Jesus. Sometimes we understand and accept that, Christians should be few. And we always going to be few. And let me explain this. Please don't understand Matthew 7, 13, and 14, that we are just going to be few. Because it says there only few, okay? Genesis 7, 13, only 8 people, and the whole world were saved. Few, okay? And Romans 16 and 5, the church that was in their home, Priscilla and Aquila. Just a few, just a few. Well, not always. When you meet in a house, are few. When I was a kid, we meet in our home for years and years, and we were 49 members. So not when you say, oh, they meet in the house, us, a small group. No, not in all the cases is true that. Even though we could reach the number of 5 million Christians in the whole world, we're not that number, of course. But even though we reach that number, we are few. You know why? Because I checked this this morning, and the population of the world is 7.13 billion. So if we reach the number of 5 million Christians in the world, we're few. So understand the point. We are always few, but you know, we are less than few, actually. We are less than few. So remember, we have in our hands a message that is the power of God. Power of God. So learn it, live it, and share it. Share it. Just share it. You know, when Matt Trent was working in El Cajon, we were working together. God made a good team with the two of us. He was learning Spanish, and he did. And we knocked doors one week in the Hispanic area and 1 week with the Anglo area. So I tried with you. You know, I tried knocking doors with you there in El Cajon. It's not easy, especially with my English, but you know, you can do it. We can do it because we need to share. We need to share the gospel of God. Well, I introduced my lesson with these scriptures, and I'm not going to read more scriptures except those two. I agree with the topics that I have heard, and I did not hear the first one, but I agree because I know our brother is a man of God, and he preached the word of God. So I agree. Okay? So I'm not going to mention more scriptures. I'm going to let you know who the Hispanics are. How many of us are here? And I'm going to explain some things about our culture and then how we can implement something for their benefit. Okay? So Matthew 28 and 19, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, all nations. In Mark 16 and 15, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. I wanted to start by expressing my gratitude to God and to the churches in the U.S. for the love they have shown for many years toward the Spanish-speaking people in the world. 58 years ago, our dear brother K.J. Wilkes from Austin, Texas, and the congregation where he met, had the idea to share the great news of salvation with the people in Mexico. They sent Brother J.B. Torres to talk to a preacher from the Cops and Sunday School in Laredo, Nuevo Laredo, just across Laredo, Texas. This preacher didn't accept the truth. Then Brother Torres, very smart guy, asked if there were other congregations in town. And this preacher sent him with another preacher, my uncle, Jesus Rodriguez. They studied the differences because my uncle and my father, they used cops in Sunday school and the services. So Brother Torres studied the differences with my uncle, and my uncle invited Brother Torres to go and drive 4 hours to meet my dad, Juan Sr. The three of them studied the differences, and they told Brother Torres that they were going to study the issues. And after a lot of study and prayer, 6 months later, when Brother Torres went back to Mexico, they made the decision to leave those practices that were and are against the New Testament, and they made the change. They were the first 2 preachers in Mexico and the first 2 faithful congregations. Why I'm saying this story? Well, you will see. This was the beginning of the Church of Christ among the Spanish-speaking people, as far as I know. Then my father, with the support of the New Salem congregation in Mississippi, started to spread the gospel in Mexico. Brother Grafton Smith sent $50 per month to my dad to work full-time. Then they sent $5 to my brother Juan Jr. to learn English, to be the connection between the churches here and the preachers down there. And he still is. We thank God for these dear brothers and sisters and their congregations who had the vision to send the great news of salvation to the Hispanics in Mexico. Also, we thank God for their love, concern, and disposition to support this great project. In that time, 58 years ago, nobody thought of the magnitude of that worldwide project. It was like when Jacob dug the well. He never thought that the Lord of Lords and King of Kings was going to drink out of that well one day, like John 4:12 says. You never know. When you start something for God, you never know. You never know. Now, because of the love, concern, prayers, and support of so many congregations and brethren, like Wayman Coleman, Raleigh Perkins, Wayne McCamey, William Berner, Marvin Fisher, Fred Lay, people who paved the road for us. The gospel has been sent to other Latin American countries like Venezuela, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, Peru, Ecuador, and South America. Only 3 are left in South America: Bolivia, Uruguay, and Paraguay. The rest who speak Spanish, we are present there. We are present there. Then Central America is covered. All Central America: Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Central America. In the Caribbean, Cuba, there are 32 faithful congregations in the island. And Dominican Republic, we are there. In the Caribbean, only Puerto Rico, not yet. We try. In 1985, with Johnny Carr and others, didn't work, but we still try. We still trying. And also Spain and Europe. And let me tell you something. There is a country in Africa where 89% of its population speak Spanish. Equatorial Guinea. It's a little tiny country that belongs to Spain. So Spanish, you know. So we tried. We tried several years ago. We almost got something there, but you know, didn't work, but we still continue trying. I want to mention one fact. Remember when Grafton Smith sent $50 to my dad 58 years ago? Well, listen. The congregation of Harrison, Arkansas, where Jimmy Smith, the son of Grafton, covered my expenses in our most recent trip to Spain last month, when Randy Tidmore, my best friend in the whole world, and my fellow soldier went to Spain to work with the congregations there 2 weeks. And you know, they are going to cover the expenses for my brother Juan Jr. to go next month to Peru. Tony, Peru. So you are doing a great job preaching the gospel to the Hispanics in the world. That's why I mention all these, to see that you have done a great job so far spreading the gospel among the Spanish-speaking people in the world. Unfortunately, this is not the case in the States. There are just around 15 congregations among the Spanish-speaking people in the U.S. And they are found in 5 states: Texas, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Washington State, and California. That's why I accepted the invitation to present this vital subject, even though the English is really hard for me. I decided to come up and talk about it. I hope and pray that this could be the turning point in this matter, that something good will come out of this study for the benefit of so many Hispanics in the U.S. I believe with all my heart that the Hispanics in the U.S. are included in the Great Commission. You see there. The Hispanics are not only part of the different cultures present in America. They are part of all the nations and every creature. Now, the first project, talking in the U.S., the first project among the Spanish-speaking people in the U.S. was in Dallas, Texas, Walton Walker Congregation, 1978. Brother Joe Martinez was the preacher there. My father and my brother used to go there to hold meetings and help the work in that city. In the summer of 1978, I moved to that city to work with that small congregation, 9 or 10 members. In 8 months, listen to the potential that we have with the Spanish-speaking people here. In 8 months, God blessed the work, and we had grown in number to 40 members. I went back to Mexico, and I returned in 1980 to train Brother Johnny Herrera to become a preacher of that congregation. After the work was done, I went back to Mexico. And, you know, I remember that the congregations in the Dallas and Fort Worth area really, really supported that project. But all of us thought only in Dallas, unfortunately. Now, there are 4 congregations in that area: Dallas, Walton Walker, Waco, McGregor, and Fort Worth, Texas. In 1991, other brethren like KJ Wilkes and Grafton Smith thought of starting a similar project among the Hispanic in San Diego. The brethren from El Cajon congregation sent Brother Walt and John Fisher to meet me in Huntington Park, which is in LA area, where I was holding a meeting, to talk about the possibility of starting a congregation among the Hispanic people in San Diego, because they converted one Hispanic family. So they say, why don't we start a work here? And they called me. Well, in 1992, my family and I moved to San Diego and worked we worked there 2 years. Several families from El Cajon worshiped with us to support the new congregation until it had grown enough to continue by itself. We received full support from El Cajon congregation to those 2 years. When the work was done in San Diego in 1994, the congregation of McAlester, Oklahoma, had a project to establish a new congregation in Laredo, Texas. We moved to Laredo to work. I returned to San Diego in 1997 to develop leadership among the male members there. This was the time when God opened doors through the web page that Randy Tidmore has to reach the west coast of Mexico, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, and Spain. The congregations of El Cajon, McAlester, Oklahoma, El Cajon Hispanics, New Salem, Harrison, Arkansas, among others, have been an instrument to spread the gospel into other countries. As you can see, each project among the Hispanics in the U.S. and abroad has been successful, and all the glory and honor is to God. That means that if a congregation here decides to start a new project with God's help among the Hispanics, that project is going to succeed, Lord's willing, with God's help. Now, let's talk about some facts of the Hispanics here in the U.S. Talking about population. We are 56.6 million Hispanics in the U.S. right now. We constitute 17.6 of the national total population. The projected the projected Hispanic population on the United States in 2060 will be 119 million. That population will constitute 28.6% of the nation's population by that day. 75 of all the U.S. Hispanics are under the age of 40, and 34 are 18 years or younger. This community exemplifies future growth potential, of course. In 2015, the percentage of those Hispanics or Latino origin in the United States who were of Mexican origin, 63.4, 9.5 Puerto Rican, 3.8 Salvadorian, Cuban, you know, all the figures that are there. The number of states with a population of 1 million or more Hispanic residents in 2015 was 9. Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, and Texas. The percentage of the Hispanic population in the United States that live in California, Florida, and Texas as of July 1st, 2015 is 54.5. Talking about the language, 40 million of U.S. residents age 5 and older spoke Spanish at home in 2015. 59 of all Spanish-speaking spoke English very, very well. Sometimes we think that the language barrier is a huge obstacle, but not anymore. Not anymore. Many Hispanic people speak English. Speak English. Income, $40,000 average, $40,150 a year. And education, the percentage of Hispanic age 25 and older that had at least a high school education in 2015 was 66%. The percentage of Hispanic population age 25 and older with a bachelor degree or higher in 2015 is 14.8%. 4.7 million of Hispanics have bachelor degree. The number of Hispanics age 25 and older with advanced degree in 2015, like master or PhD, 1.5 million. Talking about jobs, the percentage of Hispanics or Latinos age 16 and older who were in the civilian labor force in 2015 is 67%. The percentage of civilian employed Hispanics or Latinos age 16 and older who work in management, business, science, and arts occupations in 2015 is 20.5%. And, you know, they own business here. The estimated number of Hispanics owned firms nationally in 2012 up from 2.3 million or 46.3% from 2008 is 3.3 million. And also religion. Between 75 and 90% of the Hispanics in the U.S. is Catholic. As you can see, we have a saying in Spanish, numbers never lie, because numbers are facts. Numbers are facts. As you can see, Hispanics are a great potential option for growth in the church. All the different religious groups are taking advantage of these facts, but not the Church of Christ, with some exceptions. El Cajon Congregation, McAllister, New Salem, Fairbanks, and Houston, Foster Creek, and Texas, and Fort Worth, Glendora, and San Antonio, among others. As we observe these facts, we are reminded of the opportunity God is giving us to reach other nations right here at home. You don't have to go anywhere. The world is here. The world is here. So it is vital to do something about it. We need to see how we can reach this rapidly growing group. We have to be prepared to embrace this great task that is just before us. You know, yesterday, while I was eating a hamburger in Hillsboro, I talked to 3 people about Jesus, Latin American, of course. This morning, I saw same color like me, you know, so Mexicans. And so I say, hola, and no, didn't answer. they are from Portugal. So I say, no, Portuguese. Oh, well, I thought I could say something about Jesus to them. You know, I tried. But they were Portuguese. Anyway. So, let's talk now. We need to be educated in this aspect. We need to survey your community. Learn about them. Learn about these people. Knowing the type of Hispanics living in an area will determine how we can share the great news of salvation in the most effective way. There are at least 3 types of Hispanics: first generation, second generation, and third generation. The first generation, parents do not speak English. Their children speak some English, so they can translate for you. According to my own experience, this first generation is more receptive to the gospel. With this generation, you have to use clarity and simplicity when teaching the word. Usually, people who come from the Latin American countries have a lower academic level, with some exceptions, of course. The educated people remains there. They don't have to come here. You know, they have a good living there. Also, they have limited knowledge of the Bible. That implies that we need to teach the word in deep and cover to cover, but in a way that is simple, because many of them not even can read. Okay, so you have to be simple. Second generation, parents can speak English fluently. Children speak Spanish and English. They are less receptive to the gospel, but with persistence. We were talking last night about persistence. Yeah, patience and much prayer, you can reach them for Christ too. We are working in San Diego with second generation. People who have good jobs and they give good money to the church to continue spreading the gospel. So we are working right now with the second generation in San Diego. The third generation, parents speak English, children speak English, and many of them speak Spanish. Some only English. It is sad fact, but they just lose or lost the Spanish. I don't know why, but that's a fact. That's a fact. It is recommended that in order to reach the Hispanics for Christ, we must include 2 approaches. One for the first generation and another for the second and third generations. To engage Hispanics, one must understand that something can insult the first generation while being completely acceptable to the second and third generation. Let me give you 2 examples. For first generation, you know, if you take package of gum, you take one, and you put it there, and you are with a first generation Hispanic, he will be offended. Because our culture is, I'm going to offer you one to you first and then me. So, but you know, second and third generation, we understand it. That's why I have mine. Just in case. Just in case. No, I understand that. I've been traveling here since I was a little kid, so I understand your culture very well, I think. And another example is, you are with 4 brothers and sisters. You love them all of them. But you invite this couple, not the other couples, to have dinner in your home, okay? Nobody in your culture gonna say nothing. Nobody. First generation said, why they did not invite us too, you know? But second and third generation, no problem, we understand that. So we need to understand the differences between first, second, and third generation. Now, understand their culture. I'm going to talk about my culture, okay? Yes. Hispanics are warm and up-close people all the time. Hi, how are you? You know, like this. That's the way we are. That's the way we are. Not like, no. How are you? I'm doing fine. And you? No, we're not that. We are like, hugs and, you know, like that. In Argentina, Randy and I, we have to kiss men and women twice. Men and women. You know, one time we have a preacher study with the leaders in Rosario, Argentina. And, you know, several brethren, like 8 brethren came. And you have to kiss them, you know, hey, how are you? You know, all of them. At the end of the meeting, Randy told me, Elias, never in the world I have kissed so many guys in all my life. Well, in Argentina and Spain, it's not just one kiss, two kisses. 2 kisses. That's the way they are. And we kiss. Why not? Yeah, that's the way they are. That's the way we show affection, you know. Well, they enjoy expressing their love with affection. Among Hispanics, friends, families, brothers in Christ can visit you without notice. Yes. You are going to know that they decided to visit you when you hear the doorbell ringing. When someone is in the hospital, they will more than likely to visit you instead of sending you a card. Hispanics tend to attend events in groups. If you invite someone to a party, they show up with more people that you did not invite. So be careful. Okay, we need to understand my people in order to deal with them. Okay, another one, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Hispanics have a different concept of time. Now, you know, we did not start 9, so I don't know, but I'm going to mention. Maybe something happened here. Well, anyway, Hispanics have a different concept of time, okay? Let's say you agree to meet with a friend called Juan. There are many Juanes among the Hispanics, you know. You know, Juan, and you made an appointment at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to talk about how the gospel could affect his life and the life of his family. And he told you in the morning he was eager to meet with you, but now you are not sure because he's 15 minutes late. Don't leave. He's gonna get there. Yeah, 25 or 30, but he's gonna be there. I am in no way supporting irresponsibility with the management of time, even though I'm Hispanic, but I don't believe that. Punctuality is not something of culture. Is a Christian. Punctuality means Christian. Okay? But Hispanics are more event-oriented than time-oriented. Family. Family, family, family. Family are central to the Hispanics. We have a saying that says, family is not an important thing. It's everything. That's what we believe. That's what we believe. Hispanics have strong family ties. Parents with children. I have a son who lived with us still 27 years, and he's good, hardworking man for Jesus and helped me in many ways. He works for the school district in the San Diego area, but he works hard for the cause, English and Spanish. And he helped us economically in many ways. He's a blessing to us. And I love him, and I kiss him anytime I want, without permission or with permission. Brothers and sisters, same thing. The children stay at home until they get married. He's 27, he's still there. I don't know why. He's there. When parents get old, children take care of them until they die. No rest homes, unless it's needed because of medical situation. That's the way we are. We're kind of crazy, huh? Hispanics rarely outwardly rejected an invitation. It is a part of general Hispanic courtesy to never reject or disappoint someone outwardly. When you invite a Hispanic to church, they almost always will say that they will come whether or not they have the intention. So you be careful. Randy Tidmore, Clint, the friends, and we were working in a Hispanic project in Tulsa, Oklahoma last May. And Clint, he's a hard-working man. So he was learning phrases. Bienvenido a la Iglesia de Cristo. You're welcome to the Church of Christ. Things like that. So he was passing out tracts and invite people, and all the people say yes, 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 yes. But I know what he meant. They meant, maybe, that's something. So when you knock doors and everybody say, yeah, we'll be there, be careful, because sometimes that's not the truth, and sometimes does. That's the truth. Hispanics are not direct when it comes to certain subject matters. No, never touch direct anything. Hispanics tend to be very splendid when it comes to events. For instance, when they invite you over for dinner, they will, within their means, give you a feast all the time. They're gonna clean the house from top to bottom, top to bottom. Everything is a feast. Invite somebody, it's a feast for us, and we're gonna do the best that we can to serve you and that you feel like at home. Hispanics are always ready to serve and help. If you say that you have a headache, they are going to bring you a Tylenol right away, right away, right away. If you have an upset stomach, they're going to prepare a remedy or tea or whatever, but they're going to try to help. If you visit a brother or friend, they are going to offer you water or Coke, etc. I did not. Yeah. Hispanics refer to an adults and elderly with usted, and sibling too. We never call an elderly brother by name. Let me explain little, fast a story. When we moved to San Diego in 1992, to me was a shock to see that a little boy called Brother Fred Lay? Fred. Said, hey, Fred. Oh! My kid, where? Daddy, he called Brother Fred. Fred! Well, that's the way they are, you know. But we always use usted. Usted is tú, is you, but with respect. And tú is with the, you know, same age or like that, or yeah. Okay. If it is around lunchtime, they are going to invite you to eat with them. If you say no, you may hurt their feelings. That's the way. So never visit close to lunch if you don't want to eat. If you're hungry, that's the right time. If you tell a brother, like, I like your tie, they will likely consider offering it to you. I've been doing that many times. That's a good tie. Huh? At the end of the trip, the tie is his. That's the way we are. So this is culture, okay? How to work with them, and then I finish. I'm talking all this because no time for questions. That's my strategy. Implement. Cross-cultural bridges. After knowing important aspects of the numbers and culture, how the Hispanics are, begin crossing the barriers and interacting with the Hispanic community. Go where they are and introduce yourself to them. You know, this happened in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, Oklahoma on May. This congregation, they rented a meeting place in the middle and the heart of the Hispanic area of the city. And they really appreciate it. A family that are attended. Tomorrow, Randy and Clint going to study with this family in Tulsa, Lord's willing, after services in the evening. But this family said, let me read what she said. After the experience of the brethren, go there and stay there and invite them to come back, you know. We always thought we weren't important for the Anglo people. But this has changed our minds. Now I know not only we are important to them, but they love us. That's what this family said. And they continue studying with Randy and Clint. So you never know. Never know. Now, be ready to be open and friendly. This is the most important thing you can do when you deal with Hispanics. Even before you say a word in Spanish, give a smile. Be friendly. Hispanics have a great respect for you. Many of them would like to be like you. Really, really. According to my opinion, that's the reason why some members of the Hispanic congregation in El Cajon wanted to meet with the English-speaking congregation. They like you. Yeah. So you can take advantage of this fact when you are presenting Jesus to them. They are going to listen. They are going to be courteous and polite with you, even more than when a strange Hispanic is approaching to them. Really, really. And of course, learn Spanish. Not everyone has the aptitude to learn an entire language. However, 10, 15, 20 phrases can go a long way. And then let me give you an illustration. Randy Tidmore and William St. John, before they learned Spanish, they were working in the Hispanic community, and they learn some phrases. They present like this. Somos cristianos visitando el área. We're Christian visiting this area. Nos gustaría estudiar la Biblia con usted. We would like to study the Bible with you. No hablamos español. We don't speak Spanish. Pero tenemos un hermano que habla español. But we have a brother who speaks Spanish. ¿Podemos volver con él y estudiar la Biblia con usted? Can we come back and study the Bible with you? Sí or no? Yes or no? And they made contacts. They made contacts. I double-checked with Randy this morning. I called him. And I said, Randy, did you make some contacts? That's correct? Yes, we did. And you know, Randy, while he was learning Spanish in Honduras, he was just speaking Spanish only present tense, okay? So he was preaching. And he was preaching about Jesus Christ who died for us. And he said, Jesus viene, past time. Jesus came, but he said, Jesus comes, past tense, Él muere por nosotros. He, present time of die, past tense, and he was preaching that way. He was really surprised when a lady there came up and was ready to be baptized. He said, oh, this is an example that God convert people. Because he Randy said, I didn't because my Spanish was poor. But you can do so many things with God's help to convert people for God. Ooh, what else? Well, let's go to another point. Offer material in Spanish. Distribute tracts, literature, CDs in Spanish. Reading and hearing the gospel in their native language bring quicker understanding. Invite them to visit the webpage that we have in Spanish, iglesiadecristo.org, iglesiadecristo.org, and encourage them to learn about Jesus and the church that he built through the Bible courses we offer. Also, brethren, we have a good number of brothers available to hold Bible studies through Skype, FaceTime, and WhatsApp. And we use this tool only when they live at a great distance, okay? So they are ready to study. If you find a contact that is interested in studying the Word of God, let us know. And we get in touch with that contact and study from any part of the world. While I was working in Spain, I was studying with two ladies that we're going to visit in 2 weeks in Farmerville, Louisiana, Spanish ladies. So you never know what you can do. Just be ready and preach the message. Love the lost people. The greatest ingredient which makes the difference in any effort is love. Is love. When you love somebody, you're going to do anything possible to seek or look out for his or well-being or her well-being. We don't know how to be husbands, but we got married because we love our girlfriend. We don't know how to be parents, but we love to have children. We love the lost people, and sometimes there are barriers. But with God's help and the love that we have, we can share the great news of salvation to them. One of my dreams is that more and more congregations in the U.S. become interested in evangelizing the Hispanics in America. That's my presentation. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, Elias.
Thank you.
You've been very edifying. Appreciate your coming and speaking to us. Who wants to go first? Michael?
First of all, your English was pretty good. At least I thought it was. 3 years old. I've done some research where I live in the Tri-Cities in Southeast Washington, and the statistics mirror are almost exactly like the ones that the numbers that you presented. In the 3 cities, 60% or more are Hispanic. One of them, over 80%, is Hispanic, and the majority of that population is under 40. I'm curious, are there evangelists in Mexico, in the U.S., that could be utilized to come hold a meeting, a mission-type meeting in those communities?
Yes, yes, sir. The answer is yes. I did not mention, but it was suggested because El Cajon brought me here to work with them. That's the easiest and most effective way to reach them, because the language and the culture and the color. Yes, sir.
One other quick one. You mentioned having materials in Spanish. Do you have access to Spanish materials?
Yes, sir.
We can use?
Yes, sir. We publish some different materials, CDs, tracts, studies. So yes, they are available at any time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You talked about there was a very big number that have Catholic backgrounds. Are those strong Catholics, or they just relate to Catholics and not very strong? Can you give me some idea how that?
They are 3-time Catholics. That's the way we call them. They go to church when they born, they baptize a little kid. Then when they get married and when they die. That's the kind of Catholic that they are. But let me tell you something. In my own experience, it's really hard to deal with them because they don't know anything about the Bible. I have present Jesus to Catholic who follow the Catholic doctrine. Is easier because you can study the Bible and see the difference, in contrast the way they think and the way the Bible says. But with ignorant Catholics, it's really hard. It's really hard. Yes, sir.
For some that might find it difficult trying the Spanish ministry if nobody can speak Spanish, have you seen much success with the programs that try teaching English using the Bible? I think what Let's Start Talking is one of them, but to advertise English classes to the Spanish community, but it's based on the book of John or the book of Luke. Have you seen success with those types of?
Well, I have never used them. In my research for this presentation, I noticed that many groups, especially in the denomination, they offer. I'm gonna make like a ESL classes, and in that way they come and you teach them English, but you teach them Jesus. Really, to me, this could be an opinion. We never do that because we just present the gospel of Jesus Christ. We don't go around the bushes. Just present the gospel, But that's one of the ideas that the denominations are using effectively. But there are others, according that are approved by the Word of God. Yeah. All right.
Let's say thanks.
No, please.
I'm not gonna ask a question. You just did a great job. When I called Juan, and he agreed to come, and he said he couldn't. He says, "Come on, brother Elias." He knows more than me. He didn't really say that, but he really recommended you highly,
Well,
and we appreciate you.
well, you know, to me, it's a privilege to be here and to be part of this study. And, well, think about what we have studied. You know, talking about my subject, there are so many who are dying without Christ. And suppose that Chinese girl is almost to fell in a hole, and if that Chinese girl, if fall in that hole, gonna die, and you do not speak Mandarin, what are you gonna do? Just stay like that? You're gonna do something. Be careful, cuidado. You're gonna say something, okay? Many people are dying without Christ. Do something. Do something. You know, one family in San Diego who were converted was not because we present Jesus to them face to face. We knocked the door, nobody answered. We left a track and the fence. 2 weeks later, he came. He was baptized, she was baptized, her husband, 3 kids, 2 more families, like 12 people. We just left that track there. You never know. Just share and share the gospel. The way you do, the way you can. If you cannot talk, give a smile and a track. And you know, that can go a long ways.
I have a question. In talking to Randy, he said that, you know, if we do get converts, always try to start a Spanish-speaking congregation rather than bilingual, because he said it doesn't work very well. So could you give us your wisdom on that?
Well, I agree with Randy. Well, Randy all the time are on the same channel, you know, more than Cynthia and Rosita. And but, you know, as up to the congregation, I'm not saying that that's something wrong,
right,
according to the Bible, but I do not consider effective.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Glenn?
I really appreciate what you said about respect. You know, I was in Korea this last year, you know, for quite a few months trying to communicate the gospel there. In Korea, most people go to school to learn English because it's called the language of business. And Korea does a lot of business with the United States.
Yeah.
Samsung and all your phones and
Yeah.
a lot of
Hyundai.
different things. You could look at the language barrier as something that is a barrier, or you could just, you know, blow past that and just say the need is greater than my uncomfortableness in communication. And whenever we got to Korea, I found this language, the language of honor and respect, was very much a part of their culture. In other words, whenever you address someone who was older than you, you needed to use honoring language, and someone the same or someone who was less than you. They put quite a bit of importance on how you said things. And so in our translation work for the tracts that we made, or over there in the studies that we had, we made note that if
Great.
you're talking to someone
Wonderful.
older, you use this language,
Yes.
you do that.
Great.
And they, it was more than our attempts and our mistakes, because our love got past that, our appreciation. In other words, once we expressed why we were there and why we were concerned and what we were sharing, a lot of times love covers a multitude of sins, in the sense of they understand that you're trying to communicate something important, and you understand you're being feeble at that. But the attempt is made because of love and concern, and a lot of times that overcomes the disrespect and and the mistakes and everything, people found a lot of humor in watching me turn into, you know, a sign language expert. Just doing all kinds of things. But you know, at the end of the day, quite a few people said they really respected the fact that somebody made the effort. And I think that that's what we need to tell people. Yes, there may be a lot of fear that you can't communicate. Yes, there may be a lot of fear because if it's a different situation. But love overcomes that. You know, love tries to save the person falling in the hole, even though you don't know the original language. Love tries to be concerned for the lost. And I think that you're really, I think that your whole talk today is very important, and it reminds all of us to love someone different than what we're comfortable with, or to get us out of our comfort zone and get into that area. And love, the love for the lost, I think, is the most important thing that we need to come back to. We need to look at others with the love of God rather than just loving what we're familiar with. God, Jesus died for that person you're talking to or you're trying to talk to.
Right.
And
Yes,
hopefully
yes, sir.
that will get you through that. But I just wanted to say that concept of a language that reflects respect was extremely evident.
Yes, sir.
In the Korean culture.
Yes. Well, and you know, when we went to Colombia the first time in 2005, when this group was, Pentecostal group was converted, in 2 weeks, 42 people were baptized. They left the Pentecostal church and become Christians. 42 people in 2 weeks. So we knew that respect even more than Mexico. They, when the mother called them, the food is ready. Si, señora. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All the time. All the time. Randy said, the kids here speak like up there. Now, here it's different. But he was just laughing about the fact that we were just seeing a lot of respect. And sometimes in America, there are not respect. There are not respect. And when you don't have respect, it's because you do not have love. Because when you love, you respect everybody. Respect for authority and dignity. So you respect everybody. Well, thank you very much again.
Thank you. We'll have one song and be dismissed. Our next session starts at 1:30. Please try to be prompt so we can keep the day going as well. Thanks again.